yesterday when we got the reversal candle and the bounce, and we talked about it. Oversold, hourly, daily, shorter time frame, not quite in the weekly, although this weekly squeeze is very troubling. Price below the 50 and a weekly squeeze. Yikes. So I wrote earlier, closed my NVIDIA, probably going to see a bounce soon. It looks like 80% of the down move is over. That's this, from here to here, right? So that's the move. That's about 80% of it. Since it started here, could go lower. That is what I was referring to. That's 80% of the corrective move. Everybody see that? So I wrote, we might see a bounce soon. Might see another leg lower, but typically not before some kind of a bounce. So anticipating a bounce, I got out of my shorts. Not really holding on to too many shorts. But I did say a minute later, we could place a long trade now. Like maybe this is the time. But we could see more pain tomorrow. Rather enter the bounce trade tomorrow. Anybody enter the bounce trade? Not tomorrow. Meaning you got it yesterday. Well, if you did, here's more pain for you. Right there. That's what I was referring to. Now, what we should see is a bounce. I mean, you are definitely hourly oversold, daily oversold. And we're going to look at some charts and you're going to see even worse than that. This is definitely, a correction. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a pullback to the weekly 50. So is this a recession? I'm not going to get into the whole Trump said where, he wouldn't rule out a recession. Ay, ay, ay. I hope you guys are not listening to the media on what's going on. But if you look at this chart here, this weekly chart, so here's a reversion to the mean. Here's a reversion to the mean that went a little further. Here's a reversion to the mean almost. Reversion to the mean a little further, but and here's reversion to the mean. Here's reversion down to the lower Bollinger Band, and now finally we get to the weekly 50, which we got here. So, I mean, if you look, at this move back here, it's pretty much what this move is here. So is this the beginning of the end? Not hardly. Right? So just a little bit of perspective of what we're experiencing now. Look at the monthly chart. Anybody see anything disastrous? Like if I said to you guys, can you please point to the disaster, right? Where would you point? Show me recession. Show me tariffs blowing up the market. Show me the uh-oh moment. Can anybody spot it? Not really. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's corrections. But what is this? I don't know. Other than this like 2-month period that slightly made a lower low, but there was only the wick, right? So if you like discount this extreme wick here, forget that that's even there. Here, I'll do this. Look what I can do. I can erase wicks. Did you know that? Look at that. Yeah, Needles, exactly. That was COVID. This right here was COVID. Well, then what was this? Was that not worse than COVID? I think so. This was the beginning of 2022. And, and then you got the AI bubble that rescued the market. You got stimulus, and you got AI, and they just pumped the shit out of the market, unfortunately. Now, this was great for a lot of people. For the oligarch class of America, they did very well here. Most American traders, retail traders, did not, because they got caught up in these. They got so excited, they bought and then lost. They got so excited, the pump and dump got the best of most people. So I just wanted to point this out, that where we are right now, this could be the beginning of something significant. I'm not going to say this isn't significant, but to say that this has to do with the tariffs, that this is all about tariffs and the new administration and the new economic policy, that's just a narrative that a certain sect of the media and politicians want you to believe. But I'm here to tell you the truth. What's actually on the charts and what's actually going on. So it's a couple of things. Texas E, brilliant answer. There's stuff going on in the currency markets that you guys may not be aware of. A lot of weird stuff. And you could Google it and you might find some of it buried in Google. I would use something else other than Google. But there are some things that are going on in the currency markets that are very disturbing. Some dark pool shit. And we won't really hear much about it. But I'll give you an idea of some of what's going on, if you're interested. I just want to share a few things with you. What I have found is going on in the markets that have very, very little to do with tariffs and shit like that. If we go back even to, say, April, give me a second to find it. The idea is that there's a game being played in the markets where there's a huge amount of trading going on, specifically in the Forex market. And it's done in such a way that it's not really seen by the public. So it's not reported on. And it kind of goes unnoticed by most. But there's a lot of money being moved around under the surface, is what I'm trying to say. Trading in the dark, if you will. And that is one of the legs of the table, so to speak, of this correction, is this, dark pool moving around of money in the currency markets. It's something that you won't really read about. It's very difficult to find, but about a few months ago, there was a lot of movement in that market, and stuff that I was looking at that was available on Google is you can't even find it anymore. But that's part of it. And to give you an example of what I'm referring to, do you guys remember when we talked about the Japanese yen? Do you remember when we talked about the yen carry trade? Do you guys remember that? That's kind of like it was unwinding. It's a currency. It's a currency trade when investors borrow money, in one currency, and then they go invest it in another. So when the Japanese interest rates dropped to like nothing, and our interest rates were like 5% or higher, then investors here borrow money with zero interest, right, in the yen. And then they take that money and they buy the big caps with it. So they bought a lot of the AI stuff. And so when the US dollar starts, or at least investors think that the dollar is going to weaken, then they sell what they have. I'm talking about, overseas. And that's not a good thing. They sell US dollars to cover what's, not hedged. So the easiest way to explain it is that when the interest rates were super low, near 0% for the yen, what they did was they borrowed money here, and then they bought Microsoft and Apple and Nvidia and Meta and Google. Sound familiar? They bought our Mag 7s with this. Now, these are American investors that, because the interest rates here were so high, they would borrow the money here and leverage it and buy this. Until what? Until our dollar started to drop. So what happens when our dollar starts to drop? Well, foreign investors will sell U.S. equities and bonds because they have to cover. Why do they have to cover? Well, because the yen is now going up as the dollar goes down. So as this starts to go up, it triggers, if you kind of think of it this way, it triggers a short squeeze in the yen. So now you look at these levels as the yen is starting to spike up because the dollar is coming down on bad economic news. This is bad news for the economy. Bad, right? Inflation and all that shit, and reinflation and layoffs. So you get bad news here, drops the dollar, pushes the yen up. It triggers the short covering. So in order for them to short cover, what would they have to do? What would investors need to do? Yeah, it's a margin call, but what would they have to do? They've got to dump. Yeah, they got to sell these large cap stocks in order to cover what they borrowed on the yen. And the way they borrowed on the yen is they shorted it. So you've got these pools. It's insane. So you've got hundreds of billions of dollars shorting the yen assets in order to pay the money they needed for the margin calls they were getting here on the yen. So this carry trade is an example of these dark pools and money that's you could Google this too, disruption. If you just like Google disruption in the currency markets, you'll see a lot of stuff.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video from Trade With Me Now. Make sure to go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel so you make sure that you catch our next video right when it's released. Also, if you have a question or comment, please leave that in the comments section below. And of course, if you want to learn more about Trade With Me Now or join our community of profitable traders, go to tradewithmenow.com. There's also a link in the description below.